Dragon Ball Daima episode 2 is upon us, and this one was also a banger. This episode's title was titled Glorio, and like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Yes, it was a little slow at times just because it was very dialogue heavy, but it was still good. It still gave me that sense of adventure, especially towards the end as the group was getting ready to leave. But I'll get into that towards that part of the review. Like I said, I'm going to go through everything in this review and just talk about everything that I noticed in the episode. So let's go ahead and get started. So the episode starts off with Goma's wish being granted. Goma is confused as to why he can't make 3 wishes, and then Shinron states that that is only a bonus for regulars and first timers can't make 3 wishes. I think that was very cool. It was a nice little callback. It was very funny. I know a lot of people aren't going to necessarily like that because they're going to sit there and say it's a retcon, but it's not really a retcon. They never said that this was for everybody. So again, to me, it's just a funny little one-liner or joke or whatnot. Then we go back to the party and we see Goku and Vegeta crash landing from their training, confused as to what's going on. Krillin tells them that they've all grown small and everyone at the party is very shocked. So then we go back to the lookout and Goma is upset that he can't make those 3 wishes. And then he says that if he had known that, he would have wished for the evil third eye. Again, this is really telling, as this is the second time that they have stated about the evil third eye. I really do hope that the evil third eye actually appears within Daima, or at the very least we get to see it and get to see what it actually does and the power that it actually grants to a Demon King or just anybody in general if it can do that. He then asks Neva if he can summon the Demon Realm's Dragon Balls just like he did the Earth's Dragon Balls, to which Neva tells him that if he'd done that, then he would have to fight the Tamagamis and he would have to win to be able to use the Demon Realm's Dragon Balls, and obviously Goma doesn't want to do that. So Goma asks if he can just do that ritual again from the lookout, and Nova states that even he can't do that twice in a row. So that tells us that Neva, even though he may be a very powerful Namekian, he's not as powerful as we may have thought. Dagetsu then tells Goma that at least he got something out of what he wanted, and that the people who fought against Boo are now harmless, all while looking over at baby Dende and little Mr. Popo. I really thought that they were very cute, especially Mr. Popo with his little horns and whatnot, all very, very cute. Goma's then frustrated, realizing that the Dragon Balls are pretty much useless without Dende, so he wants to bring him as a hostage back to the Demon Realm. And so at that point, we go back to the party and everyone is still confused as to why they've all been turned into children. Surprisingly, Goten and Trunks can still communicate with each other telepathically. And I thought that was a nice little tidbit. Obviously, I don't necessarily think it means anything in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, because they still have their normal minds, they weren't completely turned into kids as far as mentally. They're still very powerful in that particular sense. So it makes sense as to why they could potentially communicate in this way. And I thought it was very cute that they were sitting there talking to each other and then they just started playing with each other. I thought that was very cute. It's at that point Mr. Satan tells Goku and Vegeta that it looks like only the guests and not the staff have been turned into kids. Vegeta has no clue who Mr. Satan is, and I thought that was very funny. He had to sit there and tell him, oh, it's me, Mr. Satan. It's at that point that we see Bulma and Chi-Chi are very fascinated that their skin is all smooth and that they're young and whatnot. And then Krillin figures out that even though everyone is young, they're still their old selves mentally, like I was saying earlier about Goten and Trunks. Piccolo suggests that since Shinron was summoned earlier, that this is the reason they've all been turned into children, obviously. Shin then states that he had sensed an unpleasant presence at the lookout. So then Goku attempts to fly to the lookout, but obviously he has a difficult time because he's not used to his body yet. And Master Roshi also suggests that. Goku is confused as to who Master Roshi even is because he looks completely different. He's not the same old man that Goku always tends to call him. He's his younger self. It's at that point Shin and Kibito want to take Goku to the lookout and Piccolo wants to join them. They arrive at the lookout and ask Mr. Popo where Dende is, and he tells them that strange men took him away. Piccolo asks what strange men, and Popo tells him that they had pointy ears and said they came from the Demon Realm. As Shin looks on concerned, Mr. Popo says one of them looked like the Supreme Kai, and he's shocked, obviously because he kind of knows who he's talking about. Mr. Popo then says that that they called him Dagetsu, and the Supreme Kai knows exactly who he's talking about at that point. Kibito tells the group that Dagetsu is Shin's younger brother, and Goku is very surprised at this revelation because obviously he had no idea that the Supreme Kai had any siblings. Mr. Popo then tells them that there was a short, arrogant guy with them as well, and an older Namekian named Neva. Piccolo surprisingly knows not only about Neva, but the fact that Namekians are from the demon realm. And I actually think this is very cool. It gives that a little bit extra lore. Now, again, this is going to be one thing that people are going to sit here and say, oh, this is a retcon. How the heck did Piccolo know about the demon realm or whatnot? But you have to remember that Piccolo not only reabsorbed Kami, but he also assimilated with Nail. So he gained all that knowledge. And more than likely, Nail probably knew about the demon realm because he was the protector of Guru. So more than likely, that's where the knowledge came from, because obviously Kami and Piccolo, or Demon King Piccolo, if you will, forgot who they were, especially when they were the nameless Namekian. But Piccolo then tells them that Neva was the one who remained behind in the demon realm to protect the demon realm's Dragon Balls when the Namekians left the demon realm. Mr. Popo tells Shin that Neva controlled the Dragon Balls and that Goma was the one who made the wish to turn everyone into children. Goku insists on going after them to save Dende, but Shin tells him there is another way to get there and instructs Kibito to go back to the world of the Kais and bring back the spaceship. When Kibito returns, he seems to have something that looks similar to the ship that the nameless Namekian flew in. So if you remember at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, when Goku and Gohan and all of them needed to get to Namek, they ended up using Kami and Piccolo's old ship, otherwise the nameless Namekian ship that they used to come to Earth to actually go to Namek. And like I said, this ship looks very similar to that ship, obviously because those particular types of designs or whatnot are more than likely from the demon realm or of the Grand Kais or whatnot. Shin then states that long ago he came to this universe in that particular spaceship. While inside looking over the ship, he finds out that it no longer works, but Goku suggests that Bulma can fix it. Goku attempts to fly again back to the party, but continues to have trouble, and then Piccolo sits there and scolds him about not getting used to his body because he doesn't know how to balance it. But Piccolo has trouble flying himself and then crashes into a tree. While Goku and Piccolo are practicing their flying techniques in their new bodies, Kibito goes to get Bulma and Vegeta. Goku is surprised that Vegeta came along, and he says that he can't let anyone get away with turning him into a brat. Honestly, with me not being the biggest fan of Vegeta, this is going to sound weird, but I feel as if Vegeta is going to be one of the better characters in Daima simply because of the fact that he's a kid again, and you get to see kid Vegeta be so arrogant, nonchalant, and angry at times, and I think that's going to be really funny. So Vegeta is definitely going to be a character to look out for throughout this entire show, in my humble opinion. Yes, again, I am Vegeta's #1 op, so don't get that twisted, but still, I can still state facts. It's at that point that Piccolo wonders where they left Trunks, and Bulma states that they left him with a babysitter. She then starts to inspect the spaceship, and she says it looks like it's been beaten up, and Kibito states that it happened when Goku and Vegeta were fighting Buu. And it's at that point that we go over a couple of different scenes from that particular portion of the Buu saga, where Goku is Super Saiyan 3 fighting Kid Buu, and then Vegeta is also fighting him and whatnot. So that's particularly the time to where the ship actually ended up destroyed, probably by some type of, random key blast or whatnot. Bulma states that this has an interesting structure, and Kibito replies that it's because this ship is built to travel to the demon realm and normal ships aren't. She then tells everyone it'll take about 10 days to fix it. Goku asks if it could be done sooner since he's very concerned about Dende's well-being, but the Supreme Kai reassures him that he should be okay since they took him without killing him, so they must have some kind of plan for him. So Bulma then tells Kibito to take her back to grab all the supplies that she needs to fix the ship, which are a couple of tools and a shed. So it's at this point we get about a 2-day time skip, and we see Goku training while Bulma is working on the ship, and the others are discussing how they can return to normal. As Goku is training, he realizes that turning small took his depth perception for fighting out of whack. He can't seem to actually use his legs and arms and whatnot correctly when he's actually trying to punch and kick. He's missing a lot. He then states that this rate is going to take too long to get used to being this size. And it's at that point he gets an idea and heads out. Then we go over to Vegeta, and he asks Shin, are everyone with pointy ears from the demon realm? And Shin tells him not everyone, but you can assume that most are. So with that being said, whenever we happen to see somebody with pointy ears, more than likely, they are from the demon realm, or at the very least they have ancestry in the demon realm. Kibito then starts going over some history about the demon realm. He tells the group that long ago, some sought freedom and some went out to rule other planets, and traveling to and from the demon realm became a thing. Then there was a time time that many Majins slipped out of the demon realm. Eventually, it was forbidden, and only those who are granted permission can travel to and from the demon realm. It's at that point that Goku ends up heading to Korin-sama, and he's not surprised at all that Goku and the others have been turned into kids, because he says that sometimes he actually looks at the surface from the top of his tower. Goku tells him that he is there for his Nyoibo, otherwise known as the Power Pole. So yes, we are bringing that back from OG Dragon Ball, and I'm super excited to see Goku actually use this in combat again. He asks Korin why it's not at the top of the tower anymore, and Korin states that no one uses it to go to the lookout anymore, so he gave it to Master Roshi to hold on to. So if you remember back in OG Dragon Ball, when Goku needed to go up to the lookout to train with Kami, obviously he did not know how to fly at that point, so the only way to get there was to stick his power pole on top of Korin's tower and actually use it to extend up to the lookout. That's why a lot of the time after that point in OG Dragon Ball, you see the power pole actually extended up to the lookout, and sometimes you actually see it in Z as well. But obviously at this point in time, it's no longer there. Master Roshi has it. So it's at that point Goku then heads towards Master Roshi, and Korin suggests using the Nimbus, but Goku ends up declining, and more than likely he declines because he wants to get used to flying, not that he just doesn't want to use the Nimbus, because it's Goku. He probably still cares for the Nimbus, but right now he just doesn't need it because he wants to get used to flying in his body, or in this new body I should say. Goku gets to Master Roshi's place where he is strutting in the mirror saying that he now has plans since he's young again, and we all know what that means coming from Master Roshi. Goku asks him where the power pole is, and to no one's surprise, it's being used as a clothes hanger to dry clothes. It's at that point that we go back to the lookout, and Goku begins to show off the power pole, and Bulma is surprised because she actually remembers the power pole from the times where her and Goku used to go around and gather the Dragon Balls and whatnot in OG Dragon Ball. So I thought that was a nice little callback to OG Dragon Ball, and I love when they do this. So I definitely hope they continue to do these little callbacks to OG Dragon Ball. Goku then asks Piccolo if he remembers the demon realm, and he tells him that he wasn't born back then, but he has heard about it. He tells them that where the Namek stayed within the demon realm was actually pretty nice. And then Bulma asks why did they need to escape then if it was really nice, and then Piccolo replies that the Namekians do not like to be ruled. Now this kind of makes sense because looking back at the history of the Namekians that we know of from Z, they really don't like to be ruled over. They're very peaceful. They just want to stay to themselves. They don't want to bother anybody. Then suddenly above the lookout, a ship appears. Piccolo says he doesn't sense any malice coming from the ship, but his senses might have dulled since he became a child. The ship then lands, and out steps a being calling himself Glorio. And yes, this is the same guy that we saw in the first episode sneaking and listen to Goma and Dagetsu talk about everything. Shin then notices that he has pointy ears and states that he's from the demon realm, which Glorio replies and says yes. He then asks Goku to come with him to the demon realm to defeat King Goma, and everyone is shocked. Goku asks who King Goma even is, and Glorio states that he is an evil Majin who became king after Supreme Demon King Dobora's death. Shin confirms this and adds that he is a very powerful and crafty Majin. Now I feel that since Goma is a Majin, that's going to be very important later on in the story. Hopefully we get some more lore about the Majins themselves, and we actually get to learn a little bit more. Goku tells Glorio that he's ready to go rescue Dende, but Shin then asks Glorio how does he know about Goku, and he says that he heard from the king of the third demon world and that he watched the battle with Buu through a monitor. Now when they said the third demon world, I was a little confused at first, but then I thought maybe Goma was the king of the third demon world, and more than likely there are other like little subsects within the demon realm, and that the supreme demon king is the one that's at the very top. So more than likely that's what that is. And with the fact that Glorio says that he serves the third demon world king, I feel as if there may be another king in that position at this point, because he said he was given that request in secret by the third demon world, and obviously Goma was not the one that gave him that request because he was spying on them. But because of that, Shin is very suspicious of him, and he tells Goku to be wary and be on guard around Glorio. And it's at that point that Shin states that he also wants to go, mainly because he has to deal with his brother because his brother is involved, but also because he knows a lot about the demon realm. Bulma asks to examine the ship before they leave, and this is where Shin obviously talks to Goku about Glorio being a little suspicious and whatnot while she's looking over the ship. But once she's done, she says she now has a better understanding of the ship and that it's going to take her a lot less time to actually finish. And then Vegeta also states that he wants to go as well, but Glorio tells him that his ship can only carry 3 passengers, which he gets a little salty about. And Vegeta's told to just wait for Bulma to finish the repairs on their ship and to join them at that point. And then the episode ends with Glorio, Shin, and Goku taking off while Vegeta looks on in frustration. Now, like I said, when the episode ended, I was getting that sense of adventure all over again, especially with the swell of the music and everything. So I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, especially all the little bits of lore that we got. I'm really liking how these first 2 episodes had a lot of lore drops and whatnot. Yes, it's going to be very exposition heavy or whatnot, but I enjoyed that type of stuff. I know everybody else might not like that. I know a lot of Dragon Ball fans tend to just want a lot of fighting and whatnot, but that's not all that Dragon Ball is. Dragon Ball is honestly always been about the sense of adventure, and that's what I'm getting from Dragon Ball Daima so far, and that's why I'm liking it. I understand that there are different subsets of Dragon Ball fans. Some just like the fights, some like myself like the story and whatnot, but at the end of the day, you have to understand, if you're going to be a Dragon Ball fan, you have to understand that the main point of the story is the sense of adventure. It's not just about the fighting. The fighting is like a whole different subset of the actual show itself, so keep that in mind. Other than that, like I said, the episode was very good. I can't wait for episode 3 coming out later in the week. Let me know what your thoughts are about episode 2 titled Glorio in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to go ahead and like and share it out to all your friends, and then hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to receive notifications so that way you know every time I happen to upload a new Dragon Ball video. And with that being said, I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.